Hello, it's me again. I'm making a bit of a habit of these voice notes before the podcast starts. Just wanted to share a short note to say please follow, like, comment, share the podcast. It really does make a huge difference. You can find us on Instagram at Only Dead Fish Podcast, as well as our website, which is linked in all our platform bios, if that makes sense. Enjoy! Welcome to your weekly reminder that only dead fish go with the flow. This is actually my first recording of 2026. I think it'll be the second episode of 2026, but first recording. We've had slight setbacks in the snow this morning, so I don't know if anyone else suffered from that, but as soon as the snow sort of hits the ground in Britain, everyone panics, but we move. So this week's guest is Nicky Lawrenson, who is a PGA Advanced Fellow Professional. That's a golfing term, a new one for me, and also the founder of Women in Golf and Business. So welcome, Nicky, to the podcast. We've actually already sort of crossed over, I suppose, in terms of Bea Adamson, who was on one of our previous podcasts before Christmas, who does Mad Bees, actually was involved at one of your Women in Golf and Business sessions. So it's
Yes,
a very, very small world.
it is a very small world. Yes, yeah, and thank you for having me. Good to be here.
You're very welcome. So please could you sort of name and explain your sport? You're involved, obviously play golf. So please sort of talk me through.
Sure. Yeah, I've been in golf pretty much all my life. So first started playing when I was 12, long time ago. It was my dad who got me into playing, and so I started as a youngster and enjoyed playing and competing. Did reasonably okay as a youngster, and sort of reached a crossroads where I was competing within the amateur golf events. Sort of reached a crossroads with regards to whether I would sort of, entering the world of professional golf. There's kind of a couple of routes to go, and one is where you compete and sort of make a living on tour, or alternative route is the route that I took, which is to do your PGA training. So the PGA is our governing body, Professional Golfers Association, and I was away at a tournament, still kind of unsure which route to go down. And I had a phone call whilst I was away at a tournament, and it was an opportunity to start my training at a venue called the Belfry, which is a fantastic resort which hosts the Ryder Cup. And I was just fortunate; it was a great opportunity at the time, and it kind of took me down that route, and that's where I started my professional career, started my PJ training. It takes 3 years to become fully qualified as a PJ golf professional, and that was sort of the start of my career. And yeah, been in golf ever since. And yeah, it's thoroughly enjoyed it and has given me some great opportunities along the way.
It's amazing, isn't it? We were just saying before we sort of turn the recording on, you never know where something's going to take you. And sometimes you just got to go with the
Yeah,
opportunity when it
I
arises.
think, yeah, 100% sort of remain open and trust things along the way. And yeah, I was very fortunate that that opportunity at that time just kind of took me down the route. And yeah, for me, the coaching side of things is something I've massively enjoyed, and it's still given me opportunities to travel along the way as well. So certainly no regrets with regards to that sort of the direction that it took me.
So a lot of our listeners, they have come from predominantly, I think, a water sports rowing background, but we do have listeners who do other sports and other coaches who sort of coach as opposed to compete in the sport. But golf as a whole,
Hmm.
talk me through golf in maybe the dumbest sort of form, because I live sort of in Gloucestershire, and there's a big golfing space on Minchinhampton Common. I don't know if you've
Mhm.
ever been there, and it's, there's cows everywhere, there's
Yeah.
roads everywhere, and you just sort of see everyone walking around, and I I've just never I've never sort of got into it. So talk us through golf, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a sport where I think sometimes it takes folks by surprise. There's sometimes um, golfers who, in the first instant, thought that it wasn't really maybe for them, and then they started to have a little go, and they've been completely sort of bitten by the bug of it. And I think it's one of those games that can feel sort of quite addictive once you get into it. Um, and I think for me, it's something. I mean, I love sport as a whole, and I love, sort of the keeping fit side of things. I love running, but I guess for me, golf is just something that it's a great opportunity to meet people along the way as well, and in many sort of different areas and different contexts, and we'll maybe touch on that a little bit further down the line with regards to women in golf and business. But it's a sport that I think it has a frustration element to it to people who do take it up initially. And I think it's one of those with regards to when you're first starting out, it can be really beneficial to, as with all sports really, to learn the fundamentals and to help get guidance within the fundamentals. And that can create a great starting place to build from, and to continue to keep enjoying the game. But yeah, the great thing as well, it has no kind of limits or boundaries with regards to age, with regards to ability level. There's something in place called the handicap system, which enables golfers of all abilities to play with and compete against if somebody chooses to. So it's a completely wide open opportunity in that respect. Um, you can have a youngster playing against a senior golfer out on the golf course together, different abilities, but the handicap system enables them to compete against each other if they wanted to sort of choose to do that route. Of course, you don't have to be competitive within golf. If you just want to head out there to enjoy the game, you can do that too. So I think it's great in that respect.
Yeah, because I've also a few friends of mine have also gone and done, like, the driving range.
The driving range, yeah, yeah,
That looks like quite a lot of fun and also a bit of a gateway maybe into golf, because I don't
yeah.
know how much skill the driving range actually requires in order to
It's
just sort of rock up and smack a few things about.
it could be a good little stress reliever, that's for sure. Yeah, the driving range is an opportunity for you to have a go, and if you combine that with a little bit of coaching to help build in the fundamentals, that can kind of help you feel as though you've got a little bit of a foundation. But yeah, the driving range, you can use it. You'd have to be a member of a golf club to use a driving range, and driving ranges now are changing and evolving as the game is, with regards to you now have driving ranges that have the sort of technology. When you hit the ball, it tracks what the ball is doing. You can bring in a little bit of fun. You can do a nearest the pin competition. It can be a family orientated experience as well. So it's changing in that respect. It's kind of making it more open.
Would you mind sort of chatting us through the best and the worst parts of golf?
Best and the worst parts. I think the best part, one of the best parts, is definitely the social side and the people that you get to meet along the way. I would say, I think because it's a sport where when you're out on the golf course and you might be playing 9 holes or 18 holes, on average 9 holes will take a couple of hours, 18 holes will take around about sort of 4 hours. If you're playing with others, it's sort of really good quality distraction-free time. So I think it's a great way to get to know people, to build relationships, sort of both from a social perspective, but also from potentially a business perspective too, to spend quality time with people, and that can be family too, and that it's great in that it's a sport where families can play together. And I've had some great sort of memories and times, playing with both my parents play, and it was my dad who got me into it, and it's given us a great opportunity to spend some quality time together. It's outdoors, you're getting some fresh air, it's creating sort of a space and time for you to switch off a little bit as well. I think lots of good things in that respect. The worst part of the game, I would say maybe just some of the old traditional paradigms that perhaps paint a bit of a negative picture on the game, and maybe some of the old traditional elements that are definitely, weaning themselves out of the game. And the game is definitely evolving and changing, and lots of really positive ways. And not to say some of the old traditions that they're not all bad. I think there's some, a lot of the tradition around golf is good too. But I think sometimes some of the old traditions, certainly around women within the game, and maybe it not feeling the most inclusive environment. I
Yeah,
think.
maybe the most welcoming environment.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the more we can change that and break those old paradigms, the better. But that's probably some of those old traditions maybe have sort of tainted the game a little bit. So I think the more we continue to change that and shift that, then the better.
Yeah, because we've got our dying on the hill sort of section coming up, but the whole women in golf and business is to help sort of create, those networks and that time. And you were saying about how great it is for sort of building relationships,
Mm,
on the course. And
mhm.
just from like a quick Google of sort of golf and business, one of the first sort of things that came up, maybe not the most clever article name, but it was boardrooms to birdies, which
Okay, yeah.
is a golfing term. I don't know how clever a sort of tag that is, but
Mm,
obviously, traditionally, maybe a lot of men from the boardroom would go and do their boardroom talks on the
yeah,
golf course.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
for them women to sort of come into that, and if it's not, traditionally not that much of a welcoming environment, I guess that's where you step in a lot.
Yeah, I think throughout my career, I've sort of seen how powerful the golf course can be from that relationship building perspective. That's what sort of ignited my passion to support more business women in gaining the benefits that those environments can bring. I think the workplace dynamics kind of get left at the first tee, and there's just sort of three or four people out there. It brings people together. Again, in I guess the unique part is that it's that sort of 4 hour distraction free time. I've seen sort of lots of genuine and organic and authentic conversations that can unfold out on the golf course. Yeah, some really powerful things can emerge from that. And sometimes, unexpected. It's not that it's a planned meeting, and time with people within the workplace is very rare and potentially wouldn't happen. And it also brings people together who may never even get a chance to meet in the workplace. And it also brings people together. It can be the
Mm,
CEO of the company, it can be somebody who's been sort of just started out in the company, and all of a sudden they're out now on the golf course. It brings them together. And again, the relationships and the conversations that can emerge from that can be really powerful.
yeah, 100%. It's a
Mm.
really it's a really interesting one that it can bring that level playing field, even though it's through sport, which is, ultimately a lot of the time competitive.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
my sort of next question is, do you have a sporting ick or a golf ick?
A sporting ick, not specific to golf, just a
Because
sport.
without sort of, poo-pooing golf, because I've obviously seen a bit of it on the Minchinhampton course, but would maybe golfing out like very outlandish golfing outfits, would that sort of feed into a sporting ick, do you think? Or are those just acceptable whatever level?
What the louder outfits?
I'm talking, yeah, like the high vis kind of checkered outfits that might be on display or
The diamond jumpers. Maybe some of the, yeah. Again, I suppose it goes back to some of the old traditions that maybe don't do the game any favors. Um, and yeah, I guess it sometimes goes back even to the point where, back in the day, certain clubs, women weren't even allowed in certain parts of the clubhouse or in the bar. And I think that's definitely, I guess, yeah, you'd call that a nick within the game. And that is definitely, that's changed.
Mm.
And that isn't there anymore. But I guess back in the archives, that would probably be a bit of an ick around the game.
I don't think golf would be alone in having those sort of limitations on women. So I think that would be a pretty universal ick for quite a few people in different sports.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's great that it's changed. It's probably taking a little bit longer than it should have. But yeah, good that that's sort of no longer part of the equation anymore.
Agreed, agreed.
Mhm. Yeah.
What what how well, I'll let you introduce the topic, but what are we dying on the hill about this week?
So yeah, as I sort of mentioned earlier, my huge passion has been and supporting women into the game as a whole, but also kind of really passionate about supporting business women in gaining the benefits that the game can bring and just making it as inclusive as possible.
Yes, because there's lots of stuff on my algorithm online at the moment. I don't know if it's anybody else's, but about the impact that sport can have on young women and girls and how sport and business actually goes hand in hand. So just to list a few things, sport teaches girls teamwork, communication, discipline, and work ethic. Not that we don't know about those things before, but it helps sort of enhance these strategic thinking, resilience after setbacks, helps us hold leadership positions, maybe earn higher salaries or even have the confidence to ask for higher salaries. And what's the last one here I've got? Helps sort of gives you the tools to look after your mental health and
Mm.
have sort of a stronger resilience to those sort of bits as well.
For sure, I think sport is so powerful in so many different ways, and definitely all of those things that you sort of listed there. I think it's it's also important that as women, and not to completely sort of generalize, but I think with regards to time and feeling as though there isn't time, I think that's where sport can be important, just to give women a window that's for them,
Mm,
just some sort of time and space for them, because everything gets kind of thrown into the mix, whether that's sort of family commitments, whether that's from a work and a career perspective. And I think it's so important that sport is able to give that window of time from a sort of a mental health and well-being perspective is so important. I think for young girls, I think it's great. I was fortunate. I started when I was 12, and for me, I guess I was very much as a youngster at the a junior at my golf club. I was the only girl at the time. Any sort of team matches I played in, I was the only girl. I became junior captain as a youngster, and I think for me at the time, on reflection, I'm just fortunate that I loved it so much that nothing really kind of steered me away. I suppose throughout my career, it's enabled me to continue in that way. And throughout my career, I guess I'd sort of been to a degree within the minority in certain situations, whether that be sort of spending time overseas in the Middle East and coaching and sort of being in that minority maybe as a young girl. It gave me a little bit of resilience to that, and
mm.
it didn't kind of deter me from embracing opportunities. And in fact, I've been lucky enough that I found it's only really created opportunities, and maybe yes, some challenging times, but it's definitely I've been very fortunate in the doors that have opened for me along the way. But I
Yeah.
think, yeah, sport for sure is hugely powerful, and many transferable elements. Definitely the ones that you've mentioned there. I think building confidence, and golf's a great game for, and sport is as a whole for sure, but I think golf, there's something about that stationary ball as well. It creates a great learning opportunity and opportunities for growth.
Because I think I saw on I think we were originally connected through LinkedIn. I think you'd put a post up about the stationary golf ball
Yeah,
and
you saw
how,
that, yeah.
yeah, no, I did my
Yeah.
research, I promise.
Oh.
And how it's one of the few sports where you're not reacting to
Mm,
something that's already happened. It's
yeah.
all about what you're about to do, and
Yes.
n the game doesn't start or nothing moves until
No.
you have, you know, your strategy or drive or hit, using all the wrong words here,
No,
maybe
you're
on
fine.
purpose, maybe by accident, but
You're fine. It's all good. It's all good.
but the ball is static. You're not
Mm,
reacting to a move that somebody's made. It's you
mm,
and this item,
yeah.
and you've got to make the plan
Mhm.
and, make and do the process in order for the game to start. You're always the person moving it on. It's never
Mhm.
you sort of reacting to somebody kicking a ball at you or
No.
somebody making a move in a race. It's always you,
Yeah.
which is quite a unique sort of it's a
Mm,
unique position. And also in sort of talking about mindset, it
mm.
does really shift the focus onto the fact that you're in control and you're in
Yeah.
charge.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You're slightly less reliant on, as you say, reacting to a moving ball where you might rely on your instincts a little bit more. In golf, that's sort of the stationary ball and having that window of time where you can either sort of talk yourself into or out of something in that particular moment. Really powerful with regards to where you're placing your focus. The easiest thing in the world is to focus on where you don't want to go and what you don't want to happen, and that can then transfer itself technically into the golf swing. And golf actually is, once the fundamentals are pretty good, it's much more a game of trusting and letting go of, as opposed to sort of trying to control the golf club itself and trying to control the outcome of the shot, which is can be a great learning curve in itself too. For me personally, when I used to sort of play, I would always try to make my golf swing technically perfect, and under the layers of that was that I didn't really have belief and trust in myself. So if the golf swing was slightly out technically, I didn't feel as though I had anything to fall back on. So I'd always try and make, everything technically perfect. So many great little learning curves.
Yeah, I was just laughing to myself when you were saying about it's very easy to focus on the places that you don't want to go. I
Yeah.
was just thinking about me driving my car and seeing a pothole, and I'm like, I don't want to hit that. And then you
Yeah.
stare at it so much as you approach it, you just end up hitting it anyway
Yeah. It's true. It's
because
true.
you're
It's
so
it's
focused.
yeah, yeah. Or on the golf course, that can be don't go in the trees on the right. I don't want to finish last. It can, all of those things. A lot of energy tends to go, be put where what you don't want to happen. And if you just become aware of that and start to shift that, can make quite a big positive change.
I suppose in like the business context, it's the same thing. If you're always focusing on the negatives,
Yeah.
you're never gonna move forwards in terms of the positives. You're never gonna keep coming up with all of these good ideas to keep moving stuff forward. You're always gonna be fighting fires, on the
Yes.
back burner.
For sure, for sure. And whether it's going into a meeting and sort of thinking of the worst case scenario, and though, all of those elements can very much sort of tie in with that. And when you're focusing on that sort of worst case scenario from a physiological perspective, your tension's creeping in, it's starting to affect your breathing, and whether that's on the golf course or in a meeting, potentially sort of having a bit more of a negative impact. And I think even just starting to have the awareness of it can be a massive changing point too. And sometimes, for example, with an example of a golfer that, they're not necessarily aware of how tight they're holding the golf club, or where they're placing their focus, or how they're talking to themselves. And the minute you start to create that awareness, that is powerful in itself. And that's where you can start to create the shift.
Would you be happy to sort of talk us through a day with women in golf and business and how that would, how that works and how that looks? Is it a day or is it a weekend sort of thing?
We do a combination of events. We do a golf and networking breakfast or lunch. So that could be a 2-hour event where there'd be a small introduction at the beginning, and then a time for networking over breakfast or a bit of lunch. and then there'd be an hour's practical session after that. It could be a full day format. All of these events welcome both newcomers and seasoned golfers too. We'd also at lunch generally have some guest speakers as well, and that would be a full day event. We've also just started to take golf into the workplace too. So we have an indoor setup and simulator.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, so we can take the golf course to the workplace too, and within that we can do a workshop, a 20-minute workshop beforehand that sort of ties in the parallels from a mindset perspective of
Yeah.
golf and how that sort of transfers into everyday life and into the workplace, and then some coaching and practical session on the indoor simulator.
I was just gonna say, I love the idea of going to go and do one of these days to network, because it's not all people that know each other, is it? It's
No,
lots of different
absolutely.
people.
And all industries, whether that's sort of finance, law, all different industries sort of coming together. So great from a networking perspective. And I think as well, it just creates a more sort of relaxed space from a networking perspective. We've had some great sort of guest speakers as well, some really fantastic sort of inspirational women that have, worked in different industries and also played golf too, and sort of discussed how they've integrated the two and the benefits that they've found from it as well.
I suppose my next question is, do you have a favourite moment so far from your own sporting career, if you like, but also women in golf and business, your baby, if you will?
My favourite moments, I suppose there's been quite a few, I guess. I'm getting on a bit now, Sophia, so there's a few to reflect back on.
You can
Some
have more
favourite
than one.
more than one. Okay, okay, great. I think definitely the time that I've had to spend with my parents out on the golf course, and as a youngster, the time I spent with my dad when I was first starting out, I always reflect back to those, and they always hold very fond memories as part of the journey. I think I've been fortunate to spend a little bit of time sort of working and living overseas with my job too, and there's some great memories there, and very thankful for the experience that they've given. I did have an opportunity as well to hit a golf shot on the top of Kilimanjaro,
Oh my God.
which was a cool experience, a great memory. With regards to women in golf and business, I just love bringing women together and seeing the enjoyment that it brings to them, but also that it is all possible and the opportunities are all there, and how some of the old sort of paradigms are getting broken. And yeah, for sure, I love sort of seeing that each time we hold an event, and I'm looking forward to now we're bringing an event together in Dubai at the end of this year,
Oh wow.
bringing women together internationally. It's a 3-day event, so yeah, really looking forward to that too, and continuing to sort of build that sort of positive momentum.
No, that's so exciting. Dubai as well. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I feel like Dubai's got really good golf courses, or am I making that up?
No, you're spot on. There, yeah, lovely golf courses in Dubai.
No chance of getting a golf ball in a cowpat, not like here in Minch.
Maybe not. Yeah, I'm not sure you'd find one of those out there. No, no, they're pretty meticulous as well with their golf courses, and yeah, they've got some lovely venues out there. Yes, yes.
Amazing. Do you
Yeah,
have a
Minch is
best
nice too.
Minch is nice too, yeah, of
It
course.
is, yeah.
Do you have a best fuck up that you'd be happy to share with the podcast?
Um, so I did. I mean, this is a few years ago, but I was away at a tournament when I was younger with a really good friend of mine, and this is the beauty of golf because we've been best friends ever since. So for over 30 odd years now, we've been best friends meeting through golf. But we were away at a tournament. We were in my friend's good old Ford Fiesta. We couldn't fit both sets of clubs in the boot, so Rach, my friend, she put her clubs in the boot. So I had to put mine on the back seat of the car. We played our round of golf. We played the tournament. Went into the clubhouse for the presentation. Came back out to the car. Noticed on the floor that the rubber black strip on the window.
Oh yeah.
Um, we'd noticed it on the floor. We thought, "That's a bit strange." Didn't think anything of it, stuck it back on the window, um, drove to where we were staying because we were due to play in a tournament that was close by the next day. Got to where we were staying, opened the car, golf clubs are gone.
Had somebody
They
nicked them?
they've been taken, yeah. But ironically, we'd just seen this rubber strip on the floor, thought nothing of it, stuck it back on. So they'd obviously found their way in somehow without sort of breaking any glass. And we didn't realise anything until we got to where we were staying. I went to get my clubs out the car, and no, yeah, no golf clubs. So I had to loan a set of clubs that next day, and yeah, drove back home. But just ironic that we picked up this strip of rubber on the floor, thought nothing of it, stuck it back on, drove off.
That's so
Not
like me
really.
with my car. As soon as the light comes on the dashboard, I'm like, I must talk to my dad.
Yeah, I do
The
exactly
car
the same.
emojis.
Exactly, I'm straight on the phone to my dad too. Yeah, yeah, or my brother. Yeah,
Yeah, not my problem. It will be
no,
someone else's very shortly, though.
yeah, haven't got a clue.
What have I what's at the moment, I've got, like, a puddle in the footwell of my my the driver's side of my car. I think
Okay.
there's must be a hole somewhere, and every time I get in, I put my foot on the
Oh,
carpet, there's a little
it's
splash.
it's
I'm like,
wet.
really must get that sorted," and then I just turn the radio up and carry on anyway.
Just put the heater on, dry it out.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have one sort of mantra or piece of advice that you go back to again and again?
I think with regards to, I mean, I do I love sort of there's different quotes that I always have that I love to sort of refer back to sometimes, and there's one from Wayne Dyer, and it's when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Mm,
And that's always a good one. And I think for anybody who's got any hesitations, if it's sort of thinking about having a go at golf or exploring a new sport, is definitely just to go for it. And sometimes it's just taking that first step forwards. And once you're there, it all sort of snowballs from there. It's sometimes just taking that first step. And with regards to certainly from a golf side of things, is to definitely just give it a go. If that means having a little bit of guidance initially to set you on your way, then great. I think it's really important as well, and maybe this is perhaps in the context of when we talk about sort of any business women that are looking to sort of explore the game more. Sometimes we have particularly high standards that we have in our mind. And we feel as though we have to reach that standard before we enter a certain environment. And let's take the example of a corporate golf day. Sometimes there's a great hesitance, for example, with regards to participation. Female participation is definitely on the lower side. And sometimes there's that feeling of, I need to be of a certain standard before I enter that environment. But, you know, of course, there's support to help you feel more confident and comfortable. And that's what we aim to do with Women in Golf and Business. But it's just to say that don't let any standards that are in your mind that are generally much higher than they need to be and they prevent you from entering that environment. It's just to say to go for it.
that's such a good point because whenever at the thought for me personally to go onto a golf course, I feel like I'd want to look on YouTube, like Golf for Dummies or something, or like have a bit more of an understand. I don't know that I would feel confident enough to just walk on or into anything really at just a complete novice level. I feel like I would always do my own
Please.
research just to sort of
Yeah.
try and feel like I had some sort of upper hand. And I think it is a very, confident, secure person to just walk into something blindly and be ready to just take the hit of not actually knowing what you're supposed to be
Yeah.
doing.
And I think, there's definitely, there's definitely help and guidance out there, whether that's, a PJ pro at a club, to help you. There's help, never worry that you feel as though you've got to go from nothing straight onto an 18 hole course, on your own with great uncertainty. But definitely there's lots of help out there.
I was just gonna say it's not just specific to golf, but just everyday life. It's okay to start something and not know what you're doing and the help to come. And I think that's what sport and golf, or specifically golf, because that's what we're talking about. But that's what
Yeah.
those things are brilliant at sort of teaching us, is it's okay to start and suck and then get better at it.
Yeah, 100%. And the most important thing is that you're enjoying it, you're enjoying the process of it, and then generally all of the good stuff then starts to fall on the back of that.
My penultimate question is there something you would like to change about your sport or sport in general?
I think really is just to continue to ensure that it continues to evolve as being as welcoming and inclusive as possible. Ultimately, I
Mm,
think it's so important that it feels that way, and there are no obstacles or barriers to entry, and it becomes as equal a playing field as possible.
mm.
Yeah, is really important.
It's an
Mm.
obvious one, but
It
I would,
is. It
it's
is.
sometimes those are the most important. It
Yeah.
is, making sure that people feel welcome in a space.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'm making a playlist of everybody's soundtrack of the week, or their favorite song that they always play,
Ah,
and then
cool.
it will be sort of available alongside the podcast, if that makes
Ah,
sense.
that's brilliant.
So just something a bit silly really, but
Yeah.
if you're stuck in the middle of winter and you're bored of your own playlist, then there's some random songs that people you've not met but have listened to
Ah, cool.
like. So a bit different. But yeah, so do you have a favorite song or a soundtrack for the week?
So I do like a little bit of dance music. And there's actually uh, could I be naughty and have two?
Yeah.
There's one. So Fisher and Losing It. So that keeps me going
Oh yeah,
on a
very
little
good.
run when I'm yeah, and Bicep Apricots.
Oh, very good.
Two little dance
Two good
tracks.
choices. Do you
Yeah.
blast those out on the golf course?
Not so much on the golf course, no, no. It gets me. It's a little running track, or it keeps me going in the gym. Those two. So, but yeah, not the golf course. No,
Not yet.
not yet. No, not to say that's not something for the future. Maybe on the driving range, I could get them going on my earphones on the driving range if I'm hitting a few balls.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that is the podcast completed. Thank you very much, Nikki, for coming on.
a pleasure.
If anybody would like to find you online, where is the best place to find you?
Sure. So my website, nickylawrensongolf.com, or the Women in Golf and Business website is wigb.co.uk. And then also can be found on the social media on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
Well, thank you very, very much for your time and coming on,
A pleasure. Thank you for having
and
me.
you're very, very welcome, and hopefully maybe meet you in person soon.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be good. That would be good. We'll definitely get you on that driving range.
Thank you for listening to this episode with Nikki. She was a brilliant guest. We did have some troubles with recording, as we were supposed to do it in person, and then it snowed. Then we did it online, and just had a few little mixer-uppers along the way. So I hope you enjoyed it. And please look her up and to find out more. As usual, please like, follow, share, do whatever with the podcast. It really does help. Speak next week. Bye bye.